Thursday, November 6th edition. More importantly, my Michael Jordan flu game edition. I'm a little under the weather. The voice is going to sound a little weird today. As J. Cole once said, his voice gone, going to sound a little illa. That's what I'm thinking, Dave. Dave, how are you? Are you feeling good? Please tell me you are.
I'm good. I'm feeling all right. I had my flu game earlier this season. You don't sound too bad, Greg. So hopefully our listeners and viewers at home will be treated to the soothing sounds of your voice for the next hour.
Some high-edge best bets can get me right back to full health.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping our model can get for us today. We have a loaded show for you as always. What is on tap today? Well, we have our Thursday night football preview, Raiders and Broncos. We will unveil the primetime parlay. We've got some additional Week 10 betting angles for you. Our first touchdown round robin, a college corner to get to as well. And we'll conclude the show, as always, with some personal plays of the week. Real quickly, before we go further into this, we were on top of King of the Court for the second straight week, Dave. Tell the people about it.
Yeah, pretty sweet. You had to hop off, and I still delivered the goods. But that's 2 weeks in a row. We've just using the Dimers Pro NBA projections. Our top long shot play has cashed. Obviously, the first time it was a split pot. But Tyrese Maxey would have returned a solo 108 bonus bet. Josh Giddey this past week, $94. I recommended Bancaro as a personal play, which is what I did. So I didn't hit that, but hopefully we guided a few of you to the Giddey cash, and looking forward to it once again next week.
Bancaro did, I believe, hit his plus money overs on points, rebounds, assists, though. Still not close to the top, but you had the right read.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Yep.
Yeah, he had a good game. He came up one board shy of 12, which I put in a little long shot parlay. So it was a good read, which we've done with all the guys in it. We're pretty solid candidates. So
dialed in to start the NBA season. You love to see it. We also love to see our Thursday night football projections. Let's get to our Thursday night preview right now. We're going to screen share what our model shows for Thursday night. Broncos minus 9.5 against the Raiders. 25-17, our projected score. Little bit of an edge there on the Raiders, it looks like, Dave.
Yeah. So when I was starting the outline yesterday, we actually had a better edge on the total. I can't remember because I changed my notes if the number has moved or not, or if we just settled as a little closer. I mean, it's 42.5 right now. Our projected score tallies up to 42, so it's really close. But yeah, 54.6% for the Raiders to cover the 9.5. Pretty small, 2.2% edge, minus 110. So not a crazy value play, but something there. Enough to appear in our best bets. Raiders money line, 22%. That's an edge at plus 430. It was not yesterday because the best odds I could find were 370, I think. So you got a better price there. Yeah, let's dig into it. So I don't really like to go against the model a ton. Usually I'm in agreement with it anyway, just for my own personal decisions. But the Raiders are just not really a team I want any piece of right now. And that's for a litany of reasons. But for the most part, they just haven't looked very good. They're not a good team. They were blanked by the Chiefs a week or so ago. They lost 40-6 to the Colts. Been outscored 51-9 by AFC West opponents. Their biggest victories they can hang their hat on this season are beating the Titans. Who hasn't done that? Well, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, I guess. The Patriots in week 1, which I think we can just throw away after the direction we've seen both those teams go in since then. And while I think the Broncos are a flawed team, they are beyond capable of working this Raiders team. And unless the defense can really get to Bo Nix, I think it might be a long night for the Raiders. It is a 2-score spread, so there's room there to cover, of course. But personally, I'm more on the under here. And, we are totally aligned with it. It is perfectly even money, 50% probability, 0.0% edge. So no value, no overprice either. So, I guess whatever you're personally liking in this game, the model is not giving a massive edge one way or the other, but just feels like an under game to me. I don't really see the Raiders scoring like enough points to keep this close, and the Broncos aren't really like a powerhouse offense either. We're projecting right in between 24 to 27 points for the Broncos. So unless they go nuclear, kind of feels like an under just for the sheer amount of points that either team is probably going to score. Defensively, the Broncos have only allowed 14 touchdowns this year. Only the Rams have fewer than that with 12. They've done most of their scoring, not most of 40% in the fourth quarter. So they're a team that comes on late, doesn't really put on points early. You might even see this total go down if you will see it go down if it's a slow first quarter, which is perfectly reasonable with how we've seen both of these teams play. Broncos are the best defensive red zone rate in the NFL, so maybe a tough night for Ashton Genty if they get close inside the 20. 34.8%. Best third down defense at 28.2%. So just a lot of things that make me say it might be hard for the Raiders to move the ball. The one thing that might make it not so hard is no Patrick Surtain in this one. And just something I came across in the research, how that impacted the Broncos last week. They play man coverage on over 60% of their snaps this year, and just 28% versus the Texans last week without Surtain in the lineup. So I think if they can scheme Brock Bowers pretty much out of this game, it's not going to be a very difficult test for the Broncos, and could be a long night for the Raiders. So under for me.
I think everything that you've laid out is 100% accurate. The Broncos are a flawed, but yet very good, very successful football team. The Raiders are pretty much a disaster outside of Brock Bowers popping off and having a great moment here and there. I am uneasy with this entire game, largely because the model says there's value on the Raiders side. And whenever something feels too obvious and the Dimers model says otherwise, usually the Dimers model is correct. If I could try and wrap my brain around this, one thing I would note, if you're a spot bettor, I think this is a pretty treacherous trap spot for Denver. Denver is coming off of 6 consecutive victories. Some of those have been extremely ugly. A 2-point win over the Jets, a 1-point win over the Giants where they were down 4 touchdowns, 3-point win against Houston last week. And look, give them credit for surviving, but they have flirted with disaster. They are certainly not as good as their 7-2 record says they are. Now here comes a dead dog Raiders team that, of course, they should win. But you look ahead 1 week and they take on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is a pretty green light fire on Las Vegas spot bet. And usually if it's a good spot bet for a side that feels off, but the model says it's the play, it's good to add to the card. So I think I'm going to get there tonight. As ugly as it seems, I think I'm just going to take the Raiders to cover the spread. Although I agree with pretty much everything you gave us analysis-wise, the spot is enough for me. You've got some additional betting angles for us to look at in this game. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, for real quick, I'll say maybe we'll have to do a little poll. Who are you tailing? Are you taking the under or the Raiders or both? And maybe we both, we got everyone to the little parlay hit there.
Yeah.
So a couple betting angles in this, which I think are probably more intriguing than the spread or the total itself. One of them would be the Broncos backfield here. RJ Harvey coming on a little bit lately, not exactly projected to light it up in our projections, but that's kind of the player he is. His work comes in bursts a good bit, and it's not likely to see that high variance in our projection, but it should be a good game for the running backs of the Denver Broncos. The Raiders allow 1.1 rushing touchdowns per game to backfields. It's third worst in the NFL. The red zone defense versus running backs is also the third worst in the NFL. So that goes hand in hand right there. RJ Harvey, he is probably my favorite player in this game tonight. I hope he delivers because I've got him in a few things and he's kind of very ever present through this preview. But he has 4 what I would call good games this year. One with 70 yards rushing, one with 98 total yards, and a TD, one with 46 yards rushing and 3 TDs. And last week he had a 51-yard receiving game with a touchdown. 3 of those were against the Titans, Bengals, and Cowboys, the 3 worst scoring defenses in the NFL. Well, the Raiders aren't much better than them. Despite allowing only 3.9 yards per carry, they're very vulnerable as teams attack them with volume. And as mentioned, their red zone defense is pretty atrocious. Harvey's over 15 receiving yards in 5 games, over 20 in 3, and over 40 in 2. 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Dobbins is scoreless since week 5. It's Trent. He's still the workhorse. He's getting a lot of volume. Harvey's touches are kind of all over the place. I wrote in our article today, our same game parlay, I won't spoil it, but his box score kind of looks like someone grabbed a fist of numbers and threw it at a sheet. The touch volume is very all over the place. His output is up and down, but what's been consistent is when it's a poorer defense, he has shown up, he's been utilized, and he's broken big plays. Like I said, plus money. I didn't say this. He is plus money for 15 yards receiving. We have him at 20. So I think that's a great little angle there. I think it's a very sound ladder play. I like my running backs and my tight ends in exploitable spots. I think this is one. The Raiders don't give up a ton of receiving yards to running backs, but something about this game just feels like Harvey's, going to continue to keep rolling in the situation that he has been. And yeah, like I said, as far as a score, Dobbins has been out of the end zone since week 5. And Sean Payton is definitely a hot hand kind of guy. Yeah. But he's not going to go away from Dobbins, but I don't think you can ignore Harvey to the point where you can only give him like 4 or 5 touches in a game like this.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I normally stay completely away from split backfields like this, but like you said, Peyton has a history of kind of just going back to the well with something that's working. It's very evident right now in this win streak. Mind you, the team has been experiencing success, not just Harvey. It's been Harvey who has emerged. So I'm with you. I think there's some value, some opportunities to sprinkle Harvey in a variety of ways. What about who the void for Vegas here? Jacoby Myers is out, which is frustrating. I had Jacoby Myers on our little Halloween parlay last week. Didn't go well, and now he's gone. Who's going to fill the void for the Raiders?
Yep. Off to Duval. Well, it's going to be a tough void to fill because the Broncos' defense is absolutely elite, allowing just 129 yards to receivers per game, fewest touchdowns in the whole league. Brock Bowers obviously just came back and had a huge game, but they allow only 53.6 yards to tight ends, only 3 touchdowns to the position so far. It's, it seems like it's probably going to be Trey Tucker, soak up some of that field stretching stuff, a little additional. But I mean, like Tyler Lockett, Jack Beck, like these are the type of guys who are going to probably see a couple extra targets, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to materialize for any of them in this game. I will not be touching any receiver props for the Raiders in this game unless I'm doing like a total under fade or something. We'll say, for all their talent, the Broncos have just 4 picks this year. Geno Smith has an interception problem, 11 on the year. The Jaguars kind of made him look like just the best in the league last week, 4 touchdowns, marching down the field. So if you're looking for some sneaky value, you might be able to find some intriguing plus money, lower tier alternates for guys like Tyler Lockett, Jack Beck, maybe even Michael Mayer. The second tight end who they drafted the year before Bowers, and then immediately were like, you know what, this guy's a lot better than you. We'll just take him instead. So not a good game for the passing offense to kind of not restart, but to adjust without who wasn't scoring, but a pretty big target in the offense still of Jacoby Myers.
In hindsight, rather than betting on Michael Pittman and Jacoby Myers for the Michael Myers, I should just bet Michael Mayer of the Raiders. Totally blank that there's a tight end backing up Brock Bowers named Michael Mayer. He was oddly involved, by the way. Like last week, they were like really getting him involved early in that game, and I kept waiting for why aren't they getting Bowers involved? In the end, Bowers had some amazing breakaway plays, but reminder, yeah, they drafted Mayer pretty high. You thought he was
7 targets.
You thought he was going to be the guy, and then Bowers just emerged a year later. So I don't hate him as a long shot, and I think you called out a couple good ones as well with Tucker and Beck.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a toss-up, but mostly an angle I'm avoiding. If you're looking for a real deep cut, though, yeah, it's probably the tight end too. So one other angle here, not really about this game so much, but about what this game, the implications of it, is the AFC West race. Currently, we have the Broncos in first at 7-2, Chargers at 6-3, Chiefs at 5-4. Broncos are favored at plus 140 over the Chiefs at plus 150. Our 41.1% probability for Denver compared to 34.5% for the Chiefs shows a much better value on the Broncos. Basically the same odds, 7% higher to win the division. And as you mentioned earlier, Greg, these teams will play each other next week. So if the Broncos win this, they will likely be minus odds favorites. If they win next week. They win this game and they win next week, they'll likely be minus odds favorites. So if you think they are going to win this division, this is probably your last chance unless they happen to lose to the Chiefs, in which case they may not win the division. So if you think they are, this is probably the time to do it. I will say the Chargers are actually the value play, 23.4% at plus 425. Our fair odds are around plus 325 for that. So they're actually the value bet to make. But from a I think realistic standpoint, what we're looking at these teams doing, how you and I talked about, we're kind of sliding a bit on the Chargers given their injuries and stuff. This is the time to bet the Broncos in the AFC West if you don't think the Chiefs are going to take it.
Yeah, I agree. Timing wise, this has to be the moment. For me, I don't want to bet the Broncos to win this division. I think they're going to collapse as the stretch run comes. It's scary too, as we're talking through all the various angles on this game, like, even with the Harvey stuff, it's like, okay, great matchup. Red zone defense against backs is bad. But there's like the looming second guy in Dobbins. It kind of feels like the same situation if you look at the futures in this division where it's like, oh, they play the Chiefs next week. If you think they're going to win the division, you should probably bet it now because you think they're going to beat the Chiefs next week. Even if they beat the Chiefs next week, the Chargers might still be lurking. It's just not as straightforward as some of the other games that we've had in prime time when you try to split up all the various angles. There's a lot of complicated third pieces in pretty much every way you can attack this game. So I think as we go through it from a props perspective, for me, it is like long shots or nothing here. Go deep down the list. Look for the guys who are kind of filling the void left by Jacoby Myers. I think the only play I really feel confident in is the spot bet, taking Raiders to cover. But outside of that, this is just kind of one of those spooky little spots, even though we're a week after Thanksgiving.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. One more quick angle, and it's going to be very quick because I basically already talked about it. Touchdown jackpot on FanDuel. Give me RJ Harvey for all the reasons I've already said. Talked about his scoring upside based on the odds alone. And just a realistic look at who is in this game. He shouldn't be more popular than fifth or so. So you'll get a better bonus bet than someone like Genty, Dobbins, Sutton, Bowers. I think Harvey probably slots in as the fifth most popular play of those guys. Maybe even Troy Franklin above him. So that'd be it. And if you want someone else, I would go Troy Franklin or Bo Nix. But for me, it's RJ Harvey. That's who I will play for my jackpot.
I like it. All right, all in on RJ Harvey. That is the Dave way for Thursday Night Football. Hopefully this goes well and we can revisit and celebrate for our first episode next week. Not only the angles we just discussed for Thursday night, but we also have our prime time parlay. Let's take a look at our Thursday Night Football same game parlay.
Thursday Night Lotto.
At DraftKings, plus 650, but with a 30% boost, you get it up to plus 845. That's what we've got for Thursday night. What do we start with?
All right. First one up, you'll find an article on site about our primetime prop of the week written by the great Nick Slade. That is on Cortland Sutton over 55.5 receiving yards, and we're pretty much using that as the first anchor in this parlay. Broncos leading receiver. He's cleared 50 plus in 6 of 9 games this year. His pace right now is for his third career 1,000 yard season. So he's doing pretty much as well as he ever has. Coming off a down game versus the Texans, unsurprising. They have the best passing defense in the NFL, pretty much. But but he still recorded a 30-yard catch in 3 straight games in that game. It was his only catch, but he was a big one, which he does all the time this year. 5 of those this season, big 30-yard catches, that is. Every team's leading wide receiver has hit 50-plus yards versus the Raiders. Obviously, that's not a huge mark, but it means there is consistency among the top target every week that they play Las Vegas. Dimers projects him for 62.5, so well above this line. I even considered doing 60, but I said, why not? Just let's play the 50. We want to win back-to-back Thursday night football parlays here, and we don't want to get hooked on a 59. So we'll do this because everybody knows you can't get hooked on 49.
No way. I love that.
No,
stat,
it's impossible.
I adored that stat. Every team's leading receiver 50 plus. Like that's
it's just, and why go with, I was also looking at Troy Franklin, but why go with Troy Franklin, who's a little more inconsistent? We're just going to keep it nice and simple here. So, but we are going with a different receiver in this same offense for the next one. Evan Engram, 25 receiving yards, well, tight end, but you know what I mean. He's at 25 yards in 5 of his last 6 games before a goose egg versus the Texans. Again, great defense, not surprising. He's the consistent third target in the Broncos passing attack. No Marvin Mims tonight, so a few more vacated targets out there. Not the longest catch, but he's got a 10-yard catch in all but one game this year, 15-plus in 3 of his 5 overs. Raiders allow 45.1 receiving yards per game to tight ends, which is actually on the lower end of the spectrum, but it's well over what we need tonight. And we project him for 34.7 yards, like Sutton, clearing this line pretty easily.
I do want to say quickly too, Dave, I'm looking at the graphic. We wrote rushing yards by accident on this.
Nope.
Just to be clear, it's receiving yards for any viewers of this. I think they know that, but let's just make sure nobody's locking in Evan Engram 25 rushing yards tonight.
I dare someone to lock it in. They might buy dimers if they lock in this parlay with Cortland Sutton and Evan Engram to get 75 combined rushing yards. Yes. But thank you, Greg, for noticing that. All right. And anyway, who else but for our touchdown, but RJ Harvey? The guy actually leads the team in touchdowns. It's all because of his recent burst, but 6 touchdowns, leads the team across the board. Shares the backfield with J.K. Dobbins, but is better in the red zone. He's converted just only 5 looks, but into 3 touchdowns since week 6. So he gets the ball in there and he does work with it. Raiders, as I mentioned, allow 1.1 rushing touchdowns per game. Poor red zone defense. 28.4% probability for RJ Harvey. Lock it in. There's your parlay, plus 650, boosted up to about plus 845 on DraftKings. And yes, receiving yards here.
You heard the man. It's only right that it concludes with RJ Harvey. We're big Harvey believers this week. I'm in. Let's do it. I've added it to my card while we were looking at the parlay. Over 8-1 with the boost. Make sure you get that boost at DraftKings Sportsbook, plus 845 odds for Harvey touchdown, Evan Engram, and Cortland Sutton, 75 combined receiving yards. All right, let's move off of Thursday night. There's plenty more to take a look at in week 10, some storylines and some value bets for you. Let's start with the overseas trip here in the NFL. Falcons and Colts taking on each other in Germany. Both teams looking to bounce back from a loss. The Falcons now on a 3-game losing streak. It's been a very ugly slide for Atlanta in recent weeks, but they do bring the league's top passing defense, just 158 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, however, into Berlin. The Colts defense gets a boost here. Sauce Gardner at the deadline, now in Indianapolis. He has cleared concussion protocol. It's going to be interesting to see the effect that he has on the Colts, who I think, I've said it on the pod, I think they're contenders this year. And that's a contender-type move to bring in Sauce Gardner mentally, emotionally, and then what he brings on the field. Our model has no edge here on the plus 6.5 spread or the total, which is at 48.5. Both of those are right on at 50-50. Bijan Robinson, under 100 total yards in 3 straight games after going over in his first 5. That's a strange development here. Facing a really, really good Colts rushing defense, Dave.
Yeah, and I think it's not surprising that kind of aligns with the Colts 3-game skid. Obviously, you have the Kirk Cousins game in there. think it's a very different game with Michael Penix in that. I mean, it was against the Dolphins, but it's not the type of trend you like to see. If you got Bijan in fantasy, you're certainly well aware. If you've been betting on him to score a touchdown, you're also very well aware. Our best touchdown value in this game is on Tyler Algier. Recent waiver wire recommendation. I wouldn't shy away from that, to be honest. Just given the value, the skid for Bijan, and the tendency for him to vulture touchdowns, it's certainly a better edge you're going to get than betting on Bijan. And since he's in this, skid right now, it's just probably a better stay away spot. Me personally, I might look for a Daniel Jones rushing touchdown. Falcons 70% red zone conversion rate is second worst in the league. Daniel Jones at 25%, so fair odds at plus 300. I'd personally, unless he's like something super short, like 180, I'd probably just play him. He's gotten in the end zone from the goal line a few times this year. We know he can do that. We know he's a runner. Honestly, that or another Jonathan Taylor 3-piece. That's only plus 700 for 3 touchdowns for JT, but actually a completely fair price with our 12.3% probability. So
that's so crazy. That's crazy. I wonder how many times in the last decade that our model would have shown a 12% probability for a player to get 3 touchdowns. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't in his earlier games, but it's legitimately just looking at this and being like, this guy is insane. We have to actually respect the touchdown, the absurd touchdown implied probability by 700 to get 3. I mean, we got guys, in tonight's game who are going to be that for an anytime touchdown as like a top 5 option for the Raiders. So
it's insane.
Yeah. Either way, I expect a ground heavy game for the Colts. Falcons are more vulnerable there. Bottom 10 in yards allowed. Personally, I like the Falcons 6.5 and the under because I just think this is going to be kind of a grinder game. Every international game this year is under this particular total, topping out at 45 points in Steelers-Vikings. Obviously, these are more potent offenses than for the most part that we've seen overseas, except for probably the Rams. But I think we're going to get kind of that classic, why did we send these teams to Europe to make them watch this game?
I don't think there's anything that Dave hates more than the overseas NFL game. Every week you're just staying for it. Just cracks me up.
It's just too many. And it's like, it's so nice and condensed when it's 1 p.m., 4 p.m. and then I got my night game. It's all morning. I gotta wake up and throw in a crazy last minute parlay. Whatever. I'm gonna forget about a matchup in my one of 12 million fantasy leagues. It's just whatever. Yeah, I'm over it.
I hear you. I get it. All right. Well, I would lean the under for what it's worth as well. We're aligned there. Outside of the overseas game, there are some injury roundups that we are looking at here. Garrett Wilson is practicing off of that knee injury back in week 6. We project 58 receiving yards, 5 receptions, a 32% touchdown probability against the Browns, who do have the 5th ranked passing defense. Not exactly a welcome back spot for Garrett Wilson is what I would say. I'm not really touching him at all this week. Do you feel any different?
No, not at all. We're going to talk about this game in a little bit. And that's pretty much going to be the sentiment, is I'm just not even remotely interested in just about any prop in this game, regardless of the side.
Yeah. Outside there, we have Bucky Irving, who is listed as questionable, still not practicing. I'll translate that for you. I don't think he's playing. I say that as someone who has owned Bucky Irving in fantasy all year long. And reminder, the injury that has held him out for over a month is an injury he suffered in the first half of the last game he played. He played the whole second half and ran for like 90 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. Something is ominous here, and I'm not accusing them of any wrongdoing, foul play, but I just the fact that he's been listed as questionable with no formal IR stent for now going on 6 weeks, this is something fishy to me, Dave.
Yeah, it just reeks of lingering issue that they are either trying to keep low key or just, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. It's not like the Kyler stuff where that certainly just feels like they were like, yeah, he's not ready. And then now they're putting him on IR. They were like, oh my God, we have to put him on IR just to save some face here. But no, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't like it. I will say he's got odds on the books, at least for touchdowns, because saw that when I was going through putting together stuff for the show. Not in our projections though. So that tells me even more so that he's not playing, because we are often the other way around. We have a guy in until he's ruled out, even if it's unlikely. And the fact that he's not even in there means our lineup feed has him out. And I think that's the case because he's on the books. I think you got some pretty good opportunities to bet on Rachaad White here. I will say we have some touchdown value on the site. I'm not going to dive into it. I would just recommend going to check it out in the Bucs Patriots prediction. It's all there, but I don't think the odds will change much. But if the books are putting Bucky up there, then the Rachaad White prices should theoretically be too good right now. So
yeah, right. Yeah, they're going to drop immensely if Bucky doesn't play, and I would be shocked if Bucky does play. By the way, for those insights, Dimers Pro, get 50% off with Dimers Pro, promo code podcast. Make sure you check it out. Get yourself to 50% off. We just talked about how we both lean to the under in the Colts-Falcons overseas game. Here's a reason to add to our list of reasons we like that. Michael Pittman has not been practicing. He's got a glute injury. We don't know if he's going to play or not. If he doesn't, Alec Pierce would be the top wideout in our model, currently projected for 58.5 yards, a 25% touchdown. But again, reminder, the Falcons have a pretty amazing passing defense. So if Pittman is unavailable, that's their best through the air target outside of Tyler Warren. I would not expect a prolific day from the Colts receivers.
Yeah, right there with you. Kind of one of those ones where if Pittman doesn't play, you wish it was a different week because you love to take advantage of Alec Pierce in this spot. 58.5 receiving yards is actually pretty high for like a second receiver in our projections. Usually you'll see that the top guy dominate and then tail off a bit. So, there's a good ceiling for Alec Pierce, but it's going to be a tough one to reach, I think, in this game. I'm not shying away from Pittman, like playing him in fantasy or anything, but just one, as mentioned, just a game I'm assuming is going to be an underground heavy game. So,
yep. Yeah, 100%. And then lastly, we got our eyes on the Bills backfield. James Cook, one of the most reliable backs in the entire league, does have an ankle/foot injury designation. Nobody really knows exactly what's going on with Cook. We're going to have to wait and see on his status. If he is out, you would see the combination of Ray Davis and Ty Johnson in some form. I don't get excited at either of those names, but they're facing a Dolphins defense that is pretty easy to get excited about unexciting names. What do you make of that opportunity?
I think it's not really an opportunity, to be honest. Like, I feel like no matter, say James Cook doesn't play, you're probably going to get it wrong, which back ends up dominating. Neither of them has had enough work to show that they're clearly the guy. Ray Davis is definitely more of the rusher. Ty Johnson's more of the passing game guy. But we've got Ty Johnson projected at what I have here, 24 yards to Ray Davis's 13, 22% TD probability. I think the only way you can get a good number on these guys is to get it now if you can. And if James Cook plays, you're cooked. No pun intended, to be honest there. That was not intentional. So you will be James cooked if you bet it now and he plays, and if you wait till he's ruled out, I think we're just not going to know who's going to run this. It's going to be Josh Allen 2 times from the goal line. It's going to be a mess. So
that pun should have been intentional. Yeah. It was a lovely pun. I wish it was intentional.
Maybe it was from somewhere deep back here in the brain, but
you're just getting so good at this, Dave. That's all that's happening right now. Cook, out of all these injuries we're mentioning, Cook's the one that I will not be surprised if he plays and has a very normal workload. Again, it's all mysterious. It's up in the air what's going on with him. But for me, I'm not rushing to back either of the Bills' backup backs, even if he is out. And Cook's so damn tough, he might play through it anyway. There you have it. Lots of injuries in the NFL. This time of year, there always is lots of injuries in the NFL. But sometimes that can help you find the spots with value. The other way to find the spots with value, Dimers Pro. We tell you, it's very easy. We'll just give you our best bets with probabilities, with edges, all of it. Promo code podcast gets you 50% off of Dimers Pro. That's a phenomenal segue because it's time to take a look at our models Week 10 NFL best bets.
Weekend best bets.
Changes from Tuesday's show when we took an early look at this, Dave. What do we got?
Yeah, so that value is dried up, which we don't usually see. I think almost every week, at least one of our featured bets on Tuesday has been an early spread pick. But the model is no longer finding that edge in those. Could be for a variety of reasons: line movement, odds, the spread line itself. But I would say our personal analysis of those games is unchanged. So everything we talked about still applies. But the Dimers model simply no longer identifies value in those particular bets. So, they would be not Dimers endorsed, I guess, at this point in time. However, everything we said applies. So we don't feel any different personally. We're going to shake it up a little bit this week with some money line looks. A couple reasons. One is that when Jace was on this show that was just this past Tuesday, right? That wasn't the week.
Yeah,
before.
Earlier this week.
All blends together. Yes, on Tuesday. He talked about our new weekly model reports that we're running out. And those have identified that our money lines are on the most profitable return of our main three markets. Notably, favorites returning a positive ROI across about 30 bets combined, opening, closing across all books. So that's what we're going to look at this week. Our report went out earlier via email, and one of these bets is in there. So we're pretty well aligned on that. And we'll get into it right here. Pull them up. First up, Browns money line at the Jets. So the last time we had a money line on here for a team, I was like, I probably wouldn't normally bet on this team. It worked out. It was the Panthers. They showed up and did the job because, as mentioned, the Dimers model is finding those spots. And this seems to be a pretty good spot. 60.2% probability, 4.4% edge. This actually opened as underdogs for the Browns, and then the Jets had their little fire sale, and now they are minus 1.5 point favorites. About 4 points of movement, which is pretty big. So technically you had better value early in the week, especially if you're taking them on the money line, but you got a much stronger probability now. So you're really not on the wrong end of it either way. So this is in MetLife, like I said, the Jets got their fire sale, possibly have Garrett Wilson returning, also have a very disgruntled Breece Hall. There's no question this team is playing for the first overall pick at this point, but it feels a bit early to be going full tank mode, unlike the NBA, where we're seeing this already happen basically for a few teams. But it's hard to envision the Jets, I don't want to say trying in this game, but because you're playing for your job and stuff, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of good vibes to be willing a team to win against a very, very good defense. We've also got a 58% probability for the Browns to cover minus 1.5. So it's not even just, squeaking away with the win. We do project them on the spread as well. Getting probably get a little bit better odds there. I mean, you would minus 110, minus 115 or so. Slightly stronger probability here. The only other time the Browns were favored this year was against the Dolphins, and they absolutely drubbed them 31-6. Browns defense is elite, only allowed 3 rushing TDs this season. Last time the Jets faced a top defense like the Browns, Justin Fields threw for 45 yards in a 13-11 loss to the Broncos. He was sacked 9 times in that game, which I didn't think was a real stat. It is. This game feels almost like the same type of setup. You've got a great defense, just like the Broncos, a Jets offense with tons of questions. I mean, they had Garrett Wilson in a game earlier, and Justin Fields threw for 45 yards. Just not a team you can really get behind. Fields, I think, is the 5th most sacks this season. Now you got Myles Garrett coming at you, who just had 5 sacks and was super pissed in that game. Another stat I couldn't believe is real. The Jets have 1 takeaway through 9 weeks. 1 singular forced fumble, no interceptions. or fumble recovery, I should say. They have about 5 or 6 forced fumbles and only recovered 1. It's pretty insane. So I don't need a ton of convincing. It's the Browns. It's not an inspiring team to bet on, but it just doesn't feel like a good spot for the Jets, and the model has been doing quite well in these spots lately.
Yeah, the Jets are 0-5 at home this year too. So if you're like, they're at home, okay. No, it doesn't mean anything. Like, if anything, this fan base is very angry. Like, they were already angry before the front office sold the entire team this week. I think, from a spot standpoint too, you could have convinced me prior to this deadline uproar that New York had found their locker room, won their first game of the season in Cincinnati, and this is going to be a turning point for Eric Glenn. But to be gutted, right, to get that first win and then have your front office essentially say, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. We want the number 1 pick. I can't imagine what it's like in that locker room right now. You watch the Browns, bad football team, great player in Myles Garrett. They can still get pressure on anybody, let alone Justin Fields, who when he gets under pressure, he just kind of crumbles and withers. I love the Browns in this spot. I think it's one of the better value bets, if not the best value bet of the week.
It might be a worse environment at home for the Jets than on the road because they have a stadium full of angry fans. Yes. I was there for the Cowboys game, and the air slowly sucking out of the stadium like every 5 minutes before they were filing out in the third quarter was palpable. But yeah, so Browns money line, top probability of the week. Very good spot. I think I'm going to be on it. Go right into our next one. Another money line, Jaguars at the Texans, 57.5% probability, 2.5% edge. Almost the same odds, -122 here. Jags are looking to complete the season sweep of the Texans after beating them 17-10 back in week 3. Though they haven't looked their best the past few weeks. Barely escaped with an OT win versus the Raiders last week. Got absolutely whooped up by the Rams. Did keep it close against the Seahawks in a low-scoring game. Probably one of the only teams to keep the Seahawks under 27 points lately. But they also beat the Chiefs and 49ers. The team's just kind of an enigma. With Trevor Lawrence just sometimes looking very good and other times doing things that are making you just wonder what you just watched happen on your television. However, they will get the Texans without CJ Stroud. Concussion, Davis Mills will start. He was not good last week versus Denver's defense, even without Patrick Surtain. He's thrown for under 150 yards in his last 3 spot starts or injury replacement games since 2023. I actually didn't put his numbers in here, but when he was starting for that full season in Houston in 2022, pretty rough touchdown to interception numbers. Just not a good quarterback. And I don't mean to talk down on the guy, but we're just analyzing this game from an objective perspective. So it's all very good for the Jaguars as far as the Texans offense, but their defense is very good, very good. Lowest completion rate, lowest passer rating by opposing quarterbacks, boasting a top 6 rushing defense as well. Feels like another game that's probably going to go under. Houston games have gone under in 6 of 8. It's only 37.5 in this, a very Browns game total. And Jags need to win this game really to keep pace in the AFC South. So I think they're going to be going all in. I mean, so do the Texans technically, but that looks like it's pretty much over for them. And if the Jags can win this game, it's possible that they'll already know they'll be only 1 game away if the Colts happen to lose Sunday morning. So very important game for the Jaguars. Very good spot for the model here. It's going to be probably sloppy this game and probably not a ton of points scored by the guys you want to score points. But I think the Jaguars money line is definitely the side you want to be on given the state of the Texans right now.
Yep. I've been enjoying fading Houston much of the season. I don't need much convincing that they're one of the more overpriced teams in the markets. I mean, just 2 short years ago, they were one of 5 Super Bowl favorites coming into the season, and it just hasn't come to fruition. That rookie year from CJ Stroud is going to kind of be an all-timer, how did that happen thing, I think, for me. I thought last week they had plenty of chances to beat Denver and just could not capitalize in the big moments. So not surprised. It does feel like Jacksonville is one of our model's favorite teams this year. It feels like they show up a lot, and I can see why. Like they really have success on both ends of the field. They're a team that can win in a variety of ways. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're consistently seeing Jacksonville as underpriced, and I think Houston's been a popular fade target as well.
Yeah, the model has definitely been high on Jacksonville. They were a value play for us in the division a few weeks ago. Before that has kind of gone the other way, but now they're only 2 games back, 1.5 maybe. So they could very, very quickly that whole top of that division could turn around. And not surprising to see the model like Jacksonville here. It would take me a couple of minutes to do it, so I'm not going to do it now. But maybe for next episode, we can look at the team by team results. For the model's recommended bets this season. So we can find out which teams those games are featured in, which games those teams are featured in where we were doing the best. So I'll look into that for Tuesday's show, give us some early insights for next week. So there's our 2 bets of the week. Let's move to top TD prop guy. We sort of had a similar thing last week with Josh Jacobs here. No value on 3 touchdowns this week. He did score the anytime. He did not cash any part of the ladder, though. But this week, we've got Dallas Goedert as our top TD prop target. I will say top TD prop target as in good edge and multiple props here. We have a ton of touchdown props on site in this game as well, but there's also a little bit of uncertainty around the backfield right now. Saquon's banged up. We haven't seen him practice yet. That would be today. It could be right now, actually. But anyway, Packers defense versus tight ends isn't super great. I've talked about this on the show before. Tight end week, we talked about it. Goddard gets an edge here for 1 and 2+. Packers are far more vulnerable through the air as on the ground. They've allowed just 5 rushing touchdowns and only 89.4 yards per game. As mentioned, backfield could be a little shaky here, so expect a little bit more passing work. 29th worst red zone defense versus tight ends, 23rd worst red zone defense overall for Green Bay. While I will say the backfield's got a few questions, Hurts also has some value for 1 and 2 in this game, so I might look at a little Hurts Goddard 2-piece, but I'm probably going to play these 2 as straights. I mean, that 2 touchdown value on Goddard is insane. Plus 2,500, 7.7% should be about 1,600, I think. So that's just immense value there. And our fair odds on him to score 1 would be only about plus 180. So plus 235 here. Very good target. And I'm blanking on how many touchdowns Dallas Goedert has this year, but I'm pretty sure it's 6. He's been just very efficient. In 7, tied for the second most receiving touchdowns in the league. So, give me some Goddard on primetime lights.
He's been in the end zone all the time, it seems. I am honestly, I don't know your personal play. We do personal plays at the end of this episode. Kind of surprised it isn't all Goddard for you, but maybe I'll be surprised when we get to that point of the show. No spoilers, Dave. Don't tell me. All right, Dimers Pro, promo code podcast, 50% off. Get the access to this. You want to see it yourself in real time. It's great that we do the show twice a week because you can hear from us as we comb through this every single day of the week, trying to prepare the best angles to bet with. But there's plenty more we don't cover. We can only cover so much in an hour-long episode twice a week, and you should be able to find value on your own. Make sure you get Dimers Pro 50% off. If you are getting Dimers Pro, use that promo code podcast to get the best deal possible. Our first touchdown round robin had 3 anytime touchdowns last week. None got in for their first touchdown. However, let's take a look at this week's round robin.
Yep. So you may want to wait a day or 2 to lock this all the way in. There's a little bit of injury impact that could potentially affect availability or maybe some of the odds on these guys. Only one of them has like a injury designation himself, but as far as other players, excuse me. So let me pull these up here. First off, we got Rico Dowdle. He's the only one with the injury designation, banged up his quad, I believe it was, in week 9. But he gets a Saints rushing defense that is bottom 10 in the league. Saints have not scored the first touchdown since week 1. Third highest first touchdown probability of the entire week here. 4 touchdowns since taking over in week 5. 16% probability. Dowdle is our top guy here. Next up, Quinshon Judkins at 15%. We talked about this game earlier. He's a workhorse. The Browns defense should keep the Jets out of the end zone at least for a while. He's broken 4 long runs of 30+, which is tied for the most in the league with Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. So, they don't even need to get all the way down into the red zone for Judkins to find his way in. And then we're going to switch to 3 receivers here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, your guy, Greg, 12%. Seahawks, Seahawks just carved up the Commanders' defense without Jaden Daniels, and the highest Commander to score first in this game is Bill at 7%. Now the Lions get a chance to carve up the Commanders themselves. Amon-Ra St. Brown has not scored in all 3 Lions losses, which I found interesting. Just 1 win he has not scored in. They need to get him the ball. They should do it early and take advantage of a spot that the Seahawks exploited heavily this past week. Next up, Devontae Adams, 12%. I'm on this one whether Puka plays or not. He's still the most likely touchdown scorer in this game, even with Puka factored in, according to our model. Most receiving touchdowns in the league right here, Devontae Adams. 5 in his past 2 games. He's our most likely touchdown scorer for the Rams. Sorry, I said that already. Stafford is on fire. The Rams defense is rolling, which should set them up for an early score. And hopefully it goes to Devontae Adams, who I believe has scored the 2nd touchdown 2 weeks in a row. And finally, JSN, 11% for the Seahawks. Somehow did not score last week in that 38-point output. But this week he will get a Cardinals team that, yes, they won. But if you were watching that game, the Cowboys marched down that field on that first drive like they had their, like the Cardinals were sleeping. It was crazy. And then the drive stalled out at the 5. But it was completely effortless how they just went down the field. And I don't think we're going to see anything different this week. Number 1 wide receiver in the NFL right now, pretty much JSN. 11%. So, yep, we'll play this with our usual round robin staking scale. It's also plus 1,700, a very attractive anytime TD parlay. All 5 of these guys are 47% probability or higher. That's JSN the lowest on that. So, pretty good spots for these guys. Pretty good data from the model, and hopefully this is the week we get a couple more.
I love the anytime play with this. I know we've preached it every single week when we unveil this, but it really is kind of, I want to say it's not insurance. There's no insurance in betting, but it's a great way to kind of tack on a more likely outcome to a much higher variance strategy that we're employing here, right? First touchdown round robin is fun. It's electric. We have hit 3s and 4s on this before and had amazing payouts, but we've had many, many times where the anytime touchdown parlay has come together with these using the exact same data that implies value in betting them to score first too. So I love that at 17-1. St. Brown, you're right. I mean, you watch it when the Lions are good at their best. He's heavily involved, and with how Seattle just carved up Washington, I mean, there might be some value on some long shot Lions to find the end zone in that game, let alone their best receiver. And to that point, JSN, who was the only Seahawk that didn't get in the end zone last week, you might think that might be top of the priority list for Seattle against Arizona. So I love it. Great names this week. Thank you as always, Mr. Dave. We move to my segment. It's time for the College Corner.
College Corner.
9-3 run for the College Corner right now. College football still going. We're getting to the stretch run of the season here, and I got 3 picks this week yet again. We start with BYU, my favorite team to back in college football. They are on the road at Texas Tech. Last time that I was betting BYU in the College Corner, I told you all about Bear Bachmeier, number 47. the acoustic guitar playing singer that goes to the old folks home in Provo. He's a community legend already. He's also a dual threat quarterback that is just a killer, straight up. He's really hard to deal with. And BYU's undefeated. They have playoff hopes in front of them. We have seen, I think, the best version of BYU football that you've seen in years and years and years this season. Texas Tech is very good. Do not get me wrong. This is arguably the favorite in the Big 12 conference right now. This is probably going to decide who wins this league, and I think the winner probably gets to the playoff. However, I can't believe this number's at 10.5. I just can't. I mean, that's total disrespect to one side of this. This should not be more than a touchdown one way or the other. If you look at Tech, the one game they lost this season was Arizona State. Sam Leavitt, probably the best quarterback they faced this year, a guy that can beat you on the ground, but also has a big arm. He's not Bear Bachmeier. Bachmeier's better on the ground than Leavitt was, but I think there's some similar mold. The issues that Leavitt caused Texas Tech could rear their ugly head against BYU. 10.5 is a disrespectful number. It's my favorite play of the week. Next up, we have LSU plus 9.5. The model likes this one at 9.5. Depending where you're betting it, you can get it as high as 10.5 right now. I would certainly recommend, like I always do to you, Dave, key football numbers. If you can get 10.5, you should get 10.5, even if it changes the value of the bet a little bit. But for me, Alabama is overpriced in the markets right now. They're a very good football team, but they've played a lot of close games where they've had fortunate comebacks and late game heroics to win games. LSU has only been blown out once this season. It was last week after they fired their head coach, Brian Kelly, lost to Texas A&M. But I think because of the timing of that blowout loss, you're getting an inflated number here. Had that week not happened, I think you're getting LSU maybe plus 6.5, plus 7 max. To me, this is absolutely a get up for a game. LSU doesn't need the old ball coach to motivate them to play Alabama, and they still have a lot of talent here. They were one of the favorites to win this conference. It's not like they're missing a bunch of players because of the changes that have happened here. It's overpriced one way here. Alabama inflated, LSU deflated. We'll take the points. And the last game of the week is a fun one here. Iowa plus 6.5 at home against Oregon. Iowa is a sneaky, still in the playoff contention conversation in the Big Ten. They need to win out, and Oregon is the biggest threat to this. But they catch Oregon at home. This is that dreaded leave the West Coast, go to the Midwest game for the Ducks. It's a 3:30 kickoff. West Coast teams have really struggled against the spread against Midwest-based Big Ten teams, both this year and last year. And Iowa is tough as nails. If you think back to the one game with the mutual opponent these two teams have played that's going to be in the playoff, it's Indiana. Iowa played the Hoosiers, the number 2 team in the country, tougher than Oregon did. And if not for this really bad pick 6, Indiana was smoking Oregon, going to win that game by 3 scores. Iowa had them on the ropes in this exact building. They controlled the line of scrimmage. I think the Hawkeyes are a lot better than anyone realizes. And if they can handle Indiana and hang with them for 60 minutes, they can certainly handle the speed and the playmakers of the Oregon Ducks. Under a touchdown, again, depending where you bet it, you can get this up to plus 7. It's around minus 120 at plus 7. Our model shows great value at plus 6.5. I'll take it at 6.5. I'm also sprinkling Iowa to win on the money line, which our model also shows as one of the higher value money line bets of the week.
Very nice, Greg. I believe there's a slight money line edge on each of these teams. And when you say a number is wrong, I love it. That's music to my ears, especially by a full score like that. You know, not even a point or 2 off, full field goal in 2 of these games. So, yeah.
It's fun, Dave. I like, I kind of make my own numbers with some of these college numbers, and then I compare what the model shows. And coming into this week, truly, I had BYU plus 4 as my personal number in this game. 10.5, I'm just rushing to bet it. We'll see. Obviously, you can be wrong. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee. But I was very happy to see that the model also showed value in that side, because when there's such a discrepancy in what I make it, if the model backs it up, it's a no-brainer for me. So there you have it. 9-3 run. Hopefully we can make it 12-3 after this week. BYU plus 10.5, Iowa plus 6.5, LSU plus 9.5, 3 underdogs. And if you want to get spicy with me, maybe a little money line underdog, 3-way round robin. Dave. Maybe bet the 2s and then the 3-leg parlay. I'll be looking at that as well.
Say less, brother.
There we have it. Okay, time for our personal plays of the week. You can go first. What do you like in week 10?
Yeah, so just shy last week of the Halloween parlay. So we're a little what should I say here? Jealous, or not jealous. I'm tilted, and I'm going back to one of those guys. And he's basically the anchor of this entire thing. And he didn't get in the end zone, and now I'm expecting him to have a very good game and a bounce back. And I'm going to take all three of these guys that have a very good game. Okay, enough lead up here. What is it? It is a 100 yards and a touchdown parlay. You can get this at plus 75.01 on DraftKings. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Ladd McConkey. These guys are among some of our highest projected receivers of the week. JSN is our highest. Amon-Ra is third or fourth, I believe, and McConkey is somewhere in the top 10. Projecting 97 yards and 47% TD probability for JSN, 87 yards and 55% TD probability for Amon-Ra, both featured in the first TD round robin, and 70 yards and 31% for Ladd McConkey. The Commanders and Steelers, who McConkey and Jackson Smith and Jigba will be facing, are the worst passing defenses in the NFL, not named Bengals or Cowboys. Cardinals are not too far behind for Amon-Ra. For JSN here. Sorry, I was tripping up on my words a little bit. But yes, those are the matchups, and they have some good spots here. Model is very high on these three guys. McConkey's touchdown probability is the lowest of them all, and obviously the biggest discrepancy from his projected yards to 100. But I'm going to take advantage of these spots and hope that these three guys get it done. It's a huge long shot. I'm only going to put a few bucks on it. So very low risk as far as monetary investment, not as far as how high this or hard this is to hit. But yeah, there you have it. 75.01, JSN, Amon-Ra, Ladd McConkey, 100 yards and a tutty.
3 great receivers, 3 great spots, 3 great names. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Ladd McConkey. Dave, I love it. I love the synergy there. Okay, thank you for that. I'm rooting for you, my friend. 75-1. That's fun. I'm going to go unique route here. You know, I'm a college sports guy. College basketball season is here. I think this is a first in the program. We're going to give out a college basketball pick as something I like in this week. I'm looking at a Friday night special here. Kansas and North Carolina. The quote-unquote battle of Roy Williams allegiances, you could say. 2 really fun teams led by superstar freshmen here. Kansas freshman Darren Peterson is drawing Kobe Bryant comparisons. We talked about that briefly in the Futures episode earlier this week. North Carolina has Caleb Wilson, who's this do-it-all, 3-level scorer, small forward, NBA prototype. Should be a very highly entertaining, fun game. Our model shows some value in Kansas plus 1.5. 55% probability that the Jayhawks cover at that number. For me, there's a couple advantages here. Number one, North Carolina's backcourt is a massive enigma. It's a huge question mark. They brought in a mid-major transfer in Kai and Evans to run the show. Beyond him, it's a couple freshmen that really have not shown their readiness at all. It's quite a task for that trio to take on the likely number 1 pick in Darren Peterson and deal with it. He's just too good. He scored 20 points in a half 2 times in 3 performances already in a Kansas uniform back to the exhibition season. He's just sensational. I think he's the best player on the floor. On the flip side, North Carolina's front court is their specialty, but Kansas's front court's pretty damn good defensively. Flory Badunga Dunks, as I like to call him, is one of the tougher physical specimens in college basketball. He's not going to get punked by the height and the length of the North Carolina front court. And then you've got the coaching advantage for me. Bill Self is a Hall of Famer, if not the coach of this generation. I think there's an argument he's been the best coach for 25 years in college basketball. North Carolina has Hubert Davis, who respectfully is coaching for his job this year after 2 very disappointing seasons in a row. It's as big of a mismatch as anything on the floor here. Bill Self with a team he likes and the best player he's ever coached against Hubert Davis and a lot of youth. I think you've got to back Kansas at the number plus 1.5, 55% probability according to our model. It is not the most fun long shot parlay that we've given, but after my Halloween parlay flopped and fell on its face last week, I just want to see one go through the hoop.
That's fair. We could not be going in different directions this week. Me with the absolute mega nuke, and you with the sensible straight play backed by data and value. But
listen, that's how you can use the model, right? Use it to do whatever you want. You want to get crazy, follow Dave's lead. You want to just be sensible, you can follow my lead. Also, if we would have set odds on you being the crazy one and me being the sensible one with our plays, that would have been like 7-1. So lots of surprise already here. All right.
We're cashing on ourselves.
We're cashing out ourselves. We'll open our own market, Dave. That sounds great. All right, let's close the show. But before we do, what else is on Dimers this week?
What's on Dimers this week?
So pretty much same stuff as Tuesday. We got NHL, NBA, college hoops every day. Our PGA predictions, they weren't up on Tuesday. Put our article up yesterday, so those will be updating after each round. We've got a few guys in play right now. Ben, JJ Spawn, and Matt Kuchar, all picks from the model, all sitting top 12 after their first round. Still some guys out on the course, so it's not over yet, but they're in pretty good spots, and hopefully they'll climb a little bit more. We'll have some more NFL coverage for you guys, of course, throughout the week leading up to Sunday. NFL betting guide will be up sometime tomorrow. Probably look for a couple extra angles. So look for some articles written by myself or Nick or Jason. Those will be on site. Our model report is up there. We pretty much already talked about that. Moneyline favorites have been doing well with an edge. But you'll find that on site anyway in article format. Pretty much the same stuff. And but we got a lot of it. So don't wait till Tuesday for the next show. There's plenty of stuff to dig into between now and then.
Plenty of sports to choose from, plenty of ways to get value out of Dimers and Dimers Pro. Take advantage. Shout out to Nick and Jason, by the way. Dave, Nick, and Jason, the dream team, as I call them. Nobody better in this business that can help you figure out how to make some money. Thank you, Dave, as always. To our listeners, we appreciate you. This was another fun week. We do this show every single Tuesday and Thursday every single week. Make sure you bet responsibly. Enjoy your weekend. Hit us up. Let us know if any of the insights we gave you in this show led you to some wins. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.